This will be video number 2, continuing on the GES model of equipment with the extended storage. We're now going to go through the control system, or the Genesis control itself. Where we're going to start is the main power switch right here. This main power switch serves two functions. One, it's a safety, where up in the control box it actually cuts hardline power to the beater motors to not allow operation. That's a redundancy to the magnetic head switches that we've always used. It also serves as a switch to tell the computer whether or not the system's off, and it's one of the functions needed for the machine to register that it's been cleaned. We'll get further into that when we get into the operators menu. From there, we're going to start looking at our touchpad, or our main home screen here. There are a few hidden buttons over here that we'll touch on. For now, we'll start with just the home buttons. On the screen, you have the snowflake for the left and the right hand cylinder. You also have the off button for both the left and right hand cylinder, and what we refer to as the soft keys. These keys will change their function depending on what menu you're in. To the right, you have the navigation pad. Also serves two purposes. The up and down arrows, you can see here, also say cabinet on and cab off. These are to individually activate the cabinet if you want to store mix in there with the cylinders in the off position. Most likely will be used by Dairy Queen when they're cleaning the machines out at night. The other buttons, the center is the universal symbol for enter, and the left to right key for navigating through the menus. Our home screen, if you go right down the center, these functions are for the left cylinder and these are for the right. This temperature displayed here is the cabinet temperature, and that is the air temperature, not the actual mix. This box right here displays the cabinet status. From here, after you would assemble the machine, you would need to turn the unit to the clean mode, or clean function. You would then hit the soft key underneath the water faucet to turn the machine into the clean function. You can see right now it gave us a head switch error. I actually have the head off. On the left-hand side, once you turn the machine to the clean function, this will now turn the beater on and beater off, and turn the pump on and off, just as a toggle switch would on our previous equipment. Some things to be noted about this: the beater has an automatic 10-minute timeout. So if you're to turn the beater on and walk away, 10 minutes later the beater would automatically shut off. The pump has a 3.5-minute timeout. So if the pump runs for 3.5 minutes and does not satisfy the pressure switch, it will automatically turn itself off. In the clean mode, you will see this happen by the pump simply toggling to the off position. You can turn it back on and continue cleaning. If you are in the freeze position and the pump runs for the 3.5-minute timeout, the computer will trip a pump low PSI error, and it will shut off the affected pump but keep the cylinder in freeze mode. This is not a common error, but an error that comes up fairly regularly with Dairy Queen equipment and Dairy Queen products due to them running the mix bag out of mix and not changing it fast enough when the system tells them to. The two off buttons will turn each side off individually, of course following with the main power switch will shut off the entire machine with no hesitation. The off button will also take you back to just the off mode. The snowflake will take you into the freeze mode or serve mode depending on how you want to phrase it. The button below the moon is not authorized for use on Dairy Queen equipment. However, that is a standby feature, but Dairy Queen still recommends and requires that the store operators clean their machine every night. From here, we go over to our electro freeze and cone insignia. There are two hidden menus here, and we're going to go through both of them. The first one is what you would show the operator during training. There's a hidden button under the F of freeze, and you can hear the computer beep as I'm pressing on it. If you press and hold that button, it takes you to the operators menu. And we'll briefly go through all of these submenus. The basic settings, the product type. For Dairy Queen, the product type is pre-programmed to be alternate 1. So for both cylinders, you should just have it set at alternate 1. The temperature offset is a temperature trim. Number 5 is neutral. Any number below 5 decreases your cut-in temperature by ½ degree. Any number above 5 increases it by ½ degree. The cabinet temp is also a temperature trim. On the newer software, your cut-in will be at 39 degrees, not 41 like previous equipment. We have changed that for the drawer configuration, and you are simply changing your cutout. The average cutout on this machine will be about 24 to 26 degrees when it shuts off. Again, that's looking at air temperature. You can hit the exit button, Then we go to the actual temps. This is exactly what it describes. This is the bulb temperature of our thermistors by the cylinders and the temperature of our cabinet thermistor. This is to give you a real-time readout, and when the machine is running, it's not uncommon to see the bulb temperatures drop into the negatives. Again, we're reading the refrigeration circuit, not the actual product. The refrigeration circuit's running at 20 below zero at the front of the cylinder. The event log is a running log of 50 events. It logs everything from button presses to mix out, mix low, anything of that nature, along with the error log. It'll stamp a date and time of when these certain events happen. This is useful in trying to track down intermittent issues or just to see if the customer is doing what they're supposed to. The error log is somewhat similar. It is again a running log of 50 events. It will stamp a date and time to when the error happened, and it will keep logging it depending on what's going on. Okay, this is also helpful to find intermittent issues. It'll display pump cover, head switch. A common one you may see is called cylinder refrig, or CYLRFG. What that means is one cylinder, left or right, you can see it depicts here, L or R, ran for 90 minutes without cycling off on temperature. Next we reach statistics. This is the statistics for the entire machine, how long it's been on, how long it's been in freeze mode, standby mode, off. There's a lot of information here, but the more important ones are the power fail information. The last power fail, how long the last power fail happened, 642 hours. Obviously the unit was shipped somewhere. All power fail time, that's a consecutive number of how long the machine's been off for every power fail it's experienced and how many power fails the unit has seen. The big important one would be the last power fail. That tells you how long the unit was off the last time the power failed. Lockouts. Lockouts was more designed for a self-serve application, not really used much in the Dairy Queen application or the electrofreeze. It's designed to lock out the function of said buttons. So if you want to select to change anything, you would hit the select button. It'll now blink. Change it to a Y, hit the select again, so it stops blinking. You've now stored the change. And if I go back to the home screen and try and hit the snowflake, the machine will not allow me to go into freeze mode. You can do that for the freeze, clean, and standby and cab-only mode. Cones left is a feature that we use once the mix level sensor, shown in the previous video, sees an air pocket in the draw line. It gives you 2 cones left until mix out. What that means is you have 2 draws, not actually 2 cones, but 2 draws of product left before the computer will automatically go to mix out, flash the screen, and beep. It will not turn the unit to standby, and it will not shut the machine off. Screen settings. This will let you choose whether or not you want to show the cabinet temperature on the home screen, whether or not you want to show the compressor. That will light up a box when the compressor is running. The use beep is simply that when you press buttons, the computer will beep at you. The clock error is an error on the main board. If the backup battery ever loses power or the clock has somehow been corrupted, it will show you a clock error. It will not affect machine operation in any way. However, your time and date stamps in the logs will be inaccurate. Then you have flash mix low, beep on mix low, and display Celsius. The date and time is simply where you set the current date and time. There are no parameters that you have to meet to set that. You can change it at any point, and it does not self-set for daylight savings. It has to be physically changed. The last clean. This is the function that a lot of store operators wanted. For the machine to log a date and time, you have to meet 4 parameters. The main power switch has to be off. The dispense head has to be removed for 10 minutes. The pump covers need to be removed. And the cylinder temperature sensors need to rise above 55 degrees. Once all those parameters have been met, it will say unit cleaned on the home screen, and it will log a date and time in this menu option. Lastly, we have software versions. This tells us the current software that's in the UI board and the main board and what the machine's set up to operate as. And that concludes the operator's menu.